Welcome back. We are currently on day 3 of our Pixlr E project, and here's where we should be so far. So far, we should have a photo of ourselves in Pixlr E. Now, of course, make sure that you are signed in. So, when you're in the home screen, you should see your name up here. If you don't, you're going to want to go ahead and click sign in and choose the login or sign in with Google, okay? Because if you're not signed in, it's not going to be saving your work. You're not going to find your pictures. So we want to make sure we're signed in. So do that first. But now I can see, like right down here, I can see my pictures. I'm going to click on the one I'm working on. And here's where we left off last class. So my photo is in here. I turned it black and white. I posterized it. And we're ready to manipulate it. Now if you're like, but hold on, Mrs. Stinson, I actually did not do those things. You're going to want to go back and watch the day 2 video and get those things done first, okay? But the synopsis was this. We brought our full photo in, we went to adjustments and auto black and white, and then we went to the adjustment tab again, and we went to posterize, and I kind of suggested a number between 4 and 5 usually works best. Watch that video to get more information on that. Okay, so now what I'm going to have us do, I want us to actually pretend that this is like an old-timey photo from like the 1800s. It is of your family, it's an heirloom, it's important, it's rare, it's the only one, from way back when. So we want to treat this preciously, right? And just like your artwork too, we want to be precious with it because I'm guessing that once you get further along in a project, you don't want it to get wrecked and have to start over. That is frustrating, right? We don't want that to happen to you. So here's what I want you to imagine. If this was like a photo, family heirloom from the 1800s, would you suggest that a little kid goes up to it with like a marker and just goes and draws all over it? Probably not. It's probably a bad idea. So now instead, what do we do then to protect old photographs or any photograph? Well, we usually frame it and we put glass in front of it, don't we? And that's going to help protect it. So now I want you to imagine that we've got this old-timey photo and it's properly sealed in a frame and there's glass in front of it. And now that little kid goes with a marker and goes like this. Okay, that might be annoying. It might be frustrating, but the photo isn't ruined. Right? The photo is still okay. It's intact. It's fine. Maybe we replace the glass or have to wash down the glass, but the photo itself is safe, and that's what we want. This is also what I want for you for this art project. So what I'm going to have you do, up at the top, do you see it's File, Edit, Image, and Layer? I want you to add a new layer. Now look way over on the right-hand side. You can see my Navigate, my Layer, and my History panels way over there. Watch what happens. You can see my background is there, and then I'm going to click New Layer, and it says Layer 2. So this is what I'm calling our working layer. So when you're working on your picture, be working on that glass shield, that working layer, instead of the background. If you work on the background, there are things that basically can happen that can destroy your actual image. And now we have to pull in the picture all over again and start from scratch. So let's work on the layer 2, the working layer instead. Okay? Okay, next thing that you should know is we're going to be using one of 2 tools. One of them we'll learn today. One of them we'll learn next class for kind of coloring this in. This one is called the Wand Select, and it's the easier tool because it kind of does most of all the work for you, which is really nice. The problem is it doesn't always work, and I'll show you that. And then for the areas that it doesn't work on, today we're just gonna ignore those areas, and we'll learn the second tool tomorrow. And anywhere that the Wand Select tool doesn't work today, next class we're gonna do the other one that's a little bit more work, but it works in every situation. So anyway, here we go. Wand Select. So over here, you guys can see it kind of looks like a little, like a magician's wand. And it is kind of magic, so it makes sense. So it's called Wand Select. I'm going to click on that, okay? And the first thing I want to do is I want to turn, do you see where it says tolerance right here? I'm going to turn that down quite a bit. I'm going to probably put it down to like, I'm going to start with 5. Every photo's different, so you might need to play around with this a little bit. But basically, do you know how like when you kind of blur your eyes, it kind of like meshes things together? Like things that maybe are totally separate, they kind of like blend together. When the tolerance is up too high, it starts blending things together. So like if we look on my face, do you see how there's like 2 different shades of gray here? If my tolerance is too high, it might think like, oh, well, we'll just lump that all together as 1 shade of gray. And then it's going to bleed the color, I'll show you that in a second, it's going to bleed it to both of them. So we want to turn our tolerance down so that it says like, okay, this gray, that's going to be different than this gray. We're keeping them separate. Those lines are more distinct. Okay? So I turned my tolerance down, and now what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to click on an area wherever I want to color in. So let's just try one of these gray areas. And actually, that did a pretty good job. Yay. It's not going to always, and I'm going to show you that in a bit. But that did a pretty good job there. So now that I've got it, the magic wand has selected that gray area. I want to color it in. And remember, we're doing pop art, right? Andy Warhol. Woo, we want it bold. We want it amazing. So let's go for some fun and funky colors, maybe things that we don't normally see on an actual human's face, right? Maybe it's going to be green or purple or whatever. Anyway, so I'm going to come over here, and do you see this is called a fill bucket? I know that my head is blocking it, but actually right here, it says the word fill right there, and it looks like a little painter's bucket. So I'm going to click on that. And now, oh, and I'm going to hide real quick. But behind my head, I want you guys to look, it's going to be right about here. There's going to be 2 circles overlapping each other. The circle on top is going to be the circle that's like the active color right now. So let me hide myself here. Do you see how there's the white one on top and the black one on bottom? And I can switch them if I want to. But basically, I want to change the color. I don't want this to be white. I want it bold, right? Pop art. Here we go. So I can play around with the colors here. I'm going to go with kind of a magenta. Oh, come here. I'm going to be like, there. Nah, I want brighter. Maybe like that. Do you see the color right here? Okay. So once I like the color, I'm going to hit OK. Notice it still hasn't filled it in, but do you notice how this circle is now the color I chose? Yay! So I've got my fill bucket selected. I've got the color selected. I've got that wand select has selected the spot I want, and I'm just going to, oh, actually, sorry, one more step. You could just fill it in like this, and notice how opaque it is, meaning that it's not see-through at all. I'm just going to really quickly undo that. I just hit Control-Z to undo, or you can also go to edit and undo. I don't know why it's not letting me there, but either way. So let me come back so you guys can see me again. Okay, so another thing that I like to do, because sometimes I don't want it quite as opaque as what we're seeing here, so I'm going to change the opacity of it. So you'll notice up here where it says opacity, it was at 100%. I'm going to bring that down into like, I don't know, maybe like 30s, something like that. Once again, this is just a preference thing, but I want you to see the difference. So now, do you see how when I fill that in, it's not as like in your face? Maybe you want it to be though. I don't know. Once again, play around with the opacity. I can also click on it more than once and notice how every time it's making it brighter and brighter because I'm basically adding layers of color to it. All right, let me show you the magic wand tool not working because this is going to happen to you. Okay, so let's go back to, oh sorry, I said magic wand. They changed the name. It's wand select, but I'm so used to magic wand. Anyway, so I'm going back to my wand select tool here. Notice I'm still on layer 2. I'm still on my working layer. And maybe I want to do like this white spot right here. So like the highlight on my forehead and my nose. Cool, okay, let's do that. Oops. Well, that's not working, is it? Look at that. It's like outlining the whole thing. What's going on here? Let's try this again. Maybe if I go to, I'm going to just click out and click back in. Hit undo. There we go. Okay, let's try a different spot. Maybe my tolerance is down to 5. Oh, you know what I think? Because it's kind of selecting the whole thing, isn't it? So let's work through this together. I'm going to try creating another layer. If this happens to you, let's see what happens. So let me just hit Control Z for undo. And I'm going to make a new layer and see if that's where I'm getting stuck. So layer, new layer. Okay, get my wand, tolerance 5. Let's try that one area again. There we go. So that's what I wanted to get in instead of the whole thing, right? But my nose does not go out. Well, I suppose it's this way, isn't it? My nose does not go out quite like that. Because watch what happens. If I were to use my fill bucket and, let's see, I'd probably do a lighter shade of the magenta, and I were to fill that in, that would be kind of funny, but that is not what my nose looks like. So this is an area where where the wand select tool is not working. So in areas like this, we're going to skip that. I'm going to show you something next class where you can fix this, but we're not going to worry about that today. So I'm going to just hit Control Z for undo. I'm going to undo again. I don't want it selected. I'm just going to find a different spot that actually does work. So maybe like here, that little spot. That looks like it's working. Fill bucket. I still like that light color. Cool. Yeah, we'll stick with that, and we'll fill that in. That looks pretty good. Okay. And we're just going to keep on going. So I'm going to try my wand select again. Let's see what happens. Yep, it's doing that thing again. If you run into this, remember, just kind of click on out or Control Z if you need to, and just add a new layer. Okay, basically you're just adding those layers of glass, those layers of protection, but now it should let me, do those areas that I want. Ooh, although I noticed this one, it's got a little bit over there. Watch what happens if I were to color that in. Maybe I color it in, sure, with that red color. Fill bucket. Notice how it's got like a tail to my hat. So actually that's not going to work with the wand select today either. I'm going to have to use tomorrow's tool on that one. So Control Z, we're undoing that one. I'll Control Z again and I'll select a different spot. I don't know, maybe this spot next. Ooh, no. There's going to be a lot that's not working. It's going to happen to you too. Just as a heads up, this will happen to you. Fill in the areas you can today, and then know that whatever areas don't work with the wand select today, I've got another option for you next class. So we'll get to that then, okay? So fill in what you can today, have fun with this, add layers as needed, change those colors as you wish, and just enjoy the process. And don't forget to come back in to your art journal. We are on day 3. So you'll want to fill in whatever time you're working on it outside of class. That goes down in this little slot here. So add that all up before you're finished for the day. All right, have fun. Can't wait to see how these are turning out.